Today, here we are in the United States of America. We're seeing so much going on in this land. And as you turn your television on various television stations, you hear people talking about what they think going on. It's not about what people think. It's not about ideology or theology of this perspective, of that perspective. God has a word of truth. And God speaks to his prophets and let us know as to what to come. He has teachers also. And I went to a prophecy conference, International Prophecy Conference, down in Tampa, Florida in 2003. But the problem was, they didn't have any prophets on program. They had teachers that knew, that went to the Word and was able to say what's there in the Word, and that's good. But they didn't recognize that the office of a prophet today. It was sad. It was a very sad moment. Because as a prophet of God, what I took to the International Prophecy Conference, I took about 10 letters that I had written to the President of the United States, talking about as to what God had given unto me. And to the teachers that was there, I gave many of those letters to many of the teachers that was there, that was given the word to speak. But I was not an invited guest that was there. I passed that information on to them. And in that information, if they had taken the time to see what was there in the information, they would see that the contents of those letters have come to fruition. Back in September of 2001, on September 10th, God showed me the destruction of the World Trade Center before this ever took place. 30 days prior to that, God gave me a work out of the book of Isaiah. I found myself reading Isaiah over and over and over again. I'm an author of several books. I had planned to add it to one of my books and bring it over online again. That would have been the full publication of that particular work. But God wanted me to do a special work for him. So after reading Isaiah over and over and over again, I started writing what God wanted me to write, what it was saying. And then on September the 10th, God showed me people running from a tall building that was aflame. Then I noticed waves and waves and waves of military aircraft. I could hear the roaring and the thundering of the engine. It was just as if I was there on the flight line. Then I asked a woman, have we declared war? And she says, no, we're responding to what they have done. And I woke up. I was in LA at the time. And I turned on the news to television and tried to get a news update, but there was no news update because it had not occurred. And I had that sense within me that we are at a state of war, but there was no evidence of war. I was a retired military. And every day I would go to the base gym. And I was very talkative that morning. Even the people that I really didn't know about what I felt, what I knew was going to take place, that we are at a state of war, but there's no evidence of it. This is what had been revealed to me. And at that point I knew Whenever God reveals anything to me, it always comes to fruition. And then what happened on the very next day, September 11th, when it happened, I knew exactly why it took place. Exactly why it took place. The book was almost completed. Only thing I had to do was to fill in the blank. And here's a copy of that book, published October the 6th, 2001. Within 3 weeks after the destruction of the World Trade Center, the content of this book has not changed. The message still remains the same today. The same message. The same message. Why did the destruction of the Trade Center happen? Go with me to the book of Isaiah, chapter 30. This is written to Judah. Isaiah is a prophet of God. And this is what God told Isaiah. Let's go to chapter 30, verse 8. Now go, write it before them in a tablet, and note it in a book, that it may be for the time to come, forever and ever. That this is a rebellious people, blind children, children that will not hear the law of the Lord. Which said to the seers, see not, to the prophets, prophesy not unto us right things, speak unto us smooth things, prophesy deceits. Get out of the way, turn aside out of the path, cause the Holy One of Israel to cease from before us. Wherefore thus saith the Holy One of Israel, because you despise this word and trust in oppression and perverseness and stay thereon. Therefore this iniquity should be to you as a breach ready to fall, sweating out in a high wall, whose breaking come suddenly and at an instant. Judah was trusted in oppression and perverseness. Make it plain, make it plain. Every now and then in the United States, we have racial riots or racial incidents to take place. When you look at the root causes of those incidents, you see people who have been oppressed, a perverse policy or law have been applied. If you look at it on an international scale, if you engage in policies and practices that oppress people, and you use perverse laws and say, we can do this, but you can't do that, eventually you will have eruption to take place. And God looked at that injustice as iniquity. If the United States find itself doing the same thing in the same predicament that Judah was in during that time frame. And what God says in his word, he says, my salvation is from generation to generation. My righteousness is forever. And what this means is that the same standards regarding God's righteousness always apply. Always apply. So this means that if any nation find themselves doing the same thing that other nations have done in the past, they will be met with the same consequences.